question.
That's the meat and potatoes. Huh?
Lisa Piper, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking with Mike and I. You own the business Natural Living. Is it Natural Living Food Cafe or just Natural Living?
So it's actually Natural Living Organic Food Cafe. Natural Living Organic Food Co-op and Vegan Cafe.
Okay.
So we just call it Natural Living.
Natural Living, yes.
Yeah,
very nice website. I like it. It's very content heavy. A lot of good description on it. Who manages the website portion of it?
Myself, my fiance, we kind of do it ourselves. We are a small mom and pop. We don't, we're not at the point yet where we've budgeted in the pros to come help. So sometimes it's like, oh, I got my co-op manager here. Throw some content on there. We're good. All right. Yeah.
Well, before we started the podcast, you were saying that you were in radio. I'm pretty interested in that. So, or your family owned a radio business.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I grew up in a little bitty farm town in Weatherford, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Middle of nowhere. And my family owned a radio station, and it's funny because it was country radio station because it was farmland. And so they would give like the ag report, really, that kind of thing. It was AM and FM. And, as part of the business, when I got to be like junior high school, I was always doing commercials and they'd throw me in. And then when I was like around high school, they were really shorthanded and they needed people. So they just threw me on to DJ. And I'm like, I don't like country music. What do you want me to DJ? What? And I would be that person who like turned the music all the way down inside so I couldn't hear it. And I would just watch the needles. Oh, they're going down. Spin another record.
That takes talent. That takes good talent, though. Just watch it, not actually listening, but watching the visual.
Awful. It's so unprofessional. Then after a while, I had to listen. Okay, all right.
So did you actually did you talk on the radio?
Yeah.
Very
It was
nice.
not my preference, but I did it.
What was your radio name?
So when I was there at the radio station, I used my normal name. But then, because you go off to college and you just need money somewhere when you're forging your path, I did work at several other radio stations. And so then I changed my name to Becca Moore.
Oh,
Becca Moore.
That's
Becca
good.
Moore.
That's just a totally different name, huh?
Totally different name.
Wow.
Yeah. And for me, way back then, it was part of my spiritual path. And I was coming from like religion and spreading out into how about spirituality and going into Rebecca has this biblical name and more of life, and that's where I was headed with
meaning
that.
For sure.
As like my 18, 19-year-old self, That's where that came from.
that spiritual journey, is that what walked you into the Natural Living or starting the co-op that you have?
I think it's just a mixture of things, not just that, because I also grew up with, my mom was sort of the hippie, granola, crunchy mom, but she wasn't fully that way. So she was like, stellar in the 60s and the 70s. That was her time. But then, as the 80s came, she morphed into the 80s and then the 90s. So she didn't really keep it, but the values were there, right? So eat natural, look at nature, go, those things were there. And so I think that was already a part of it. And so it kind of came from different directions.
Right. So were your parents vegan?
No.
No?
Not at all. In fact, my mother was so hardcore meat eater that her idea of like just a midnight snack is just a hunk of chicken.
Oh, wow.
And it was hard for her to eat like vegetables. And so I think for her, when she had kids, she had to be intentional about put vegetables on your kid's plate. And so there was always like a salad with meal, with
Just
dinner.
Something
right?
green.
And so I learned to eat that. And then I used to tell her, because, she feeds me when I'm young. I used to tell her when I got a little older in junior high and high school, why do they have to call it chicken? I'm not eating something called chicken and fish. Why? Why do they have to call it by its name? And then she's like, just eat it. No, give me more green beans.
Wow.
Did you make the transition to veganism for protecting the animals or for health reasons?
So my philosophy with food is health oriented, and that's where I come from. And it's very different than most people. And most people make a lot of assumptions about how I'm eating and what I prefer. And, oh no, she's raw vegan. And if I ask her what the best diet is, she's going to say raw vegan. Hi, raw vegan. Don't even have tea or coffee, And I have a very different approach for a lot of reasons. So I've been through my own health journey, as most people do when they're going through their path in life. That's what guides them, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of learned for myself growing up with a meat-eating mom who was like 100% carnivore, going from that to my own path of like, but maybe I like this. Well, why do I prefer this? Why? To learn that the more whole food you eat and closer to natural state of food, the more your body will guide you what you need along the way. And in today's society, there's a whole lot of disease and illnesses and autoimmune disorders where something goes off and something's not quite right with a balanced body. And so it communicates in a very weird way. And it may say things like, oh my God, for some reason I'm craving this weird thing. I need it. So that is what sort of led me to, this is where I thrive. I prefer to just steer clear of all labels for myself and how I eat, because in doing that, it lifts this stigma that can happen with people and eating. And when you lift, like, this is how I eat, you just say, I eat clean, and my body tells me intuitively how to eat. So when people ask me, how do you eat? What's your diet? What's the best diet? I say intuitive. You eat clean, whole foods. Then when you learn just a little bit about health, I mean, we all know sugar's not so good, fried foods, salt, we know those basics. Then your body can guide you through the rest, because there are times when, okay, you're sick, and if you're saying you've got the label of high raw vegan, and now all of a sudden you're craving some warm hot soup. Why? Instead of feeling like I can't do that because this is my label, we go with it, and then later go, wow, I didn't know my body was trying to tell me I needed something warming in a whole different way, and something had gone off in my body that needed rebalancing, and I needed to, curb it, and then you can assess it. So it's a little different for me. Yeah.
Talk about raw food, because no one really understands what eating raw is. Like when you explain when you mention raw, I imagine you're just grabbing a bell pepper and you're just eating that. You're not, because
well, you could, you can mono meal that. Yes.
I don't think people understand what eating raw means. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So raw foods, or eating raw in general, is just basically taking food and not eating it heated above technically 105 degrees, but some people go up to 125 degrees depending on where they are. It's sort of a range. But basically the idea is to have all the enzymes intact in the food. So when you go to cook the food, you're losing some of the enzymes that actually help your body digest it. And people don't realize it changes the food. Food changes when you heat it, and to different degrees as to what you're doing. Some foods actually release different vitamins and nutrients when you lightly steam them, or it just changes. Yeah. So eating something in its raw state means that it hasn't gone above 105 degrees in general, or 115, somewhere in there. And then that gives the body the ability to not only digest it, but take more vitamins and nutrients from it. And now we're talking about living food. This is a whole different path, in how it makes you feel and how you really work through your life and daily living with it. It's completely different. Yeah.
I found, Lisa, I was vegan for a while. I was eating at the regular vegan restaurants around the area. And you're located, I think we might have mentioned, in Clear Lake.
Yeah, in League City.
League City, I'm sorry. Yep. And in a neighborhood, in a cute little house. And what I did, go to all the vegan places all the time. And then me and Courtney transitioned to raw. And this is like a whole new world, like the temperatures, trying to food mixtures, different raw food mixes differently with your digestive system and things like that. So I was just trying to find the cleanest path. And so I looked up raw vegan restaurant because I was just eating alone, chopping up these vegetables, eating, and it was very antisocial, this diet, more so than vegan. So I found that she had a cafe within this place, and that they make legitimate food like burgers and lasagna and just weird. You would never think you can make these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to check it out. So we went in, and I got just hooked to this place. So go into your bulk section, and at what point did you open the restaurant? I mean, and what's your background in culinary arts, or
a lot of questions there, and I'll try to answer them all.
You have to answer all of them.
Go in order. You have to go in order too. Give her the pen, please.
Yes. Okay. Reroute me. So the store is a co-op. The way that I started it was about 14-ish years ago with myself and a couple other families who wanted access to food in our area down there. No Whole Foods, we want clean foods. We want to do it ourselves at a good price, and also to kind of culminate a community around that. because there's a lot of people in that area who don't eat that way, and we wanted to find the other people who choose a healthier path. So that was the goal. We had to start with bulk foods and start with the bulk dry goods and some of that, which is what we have there when you walk in. It's like a general store. You walk in and we weigh things all out, and it's in bulk bins because we're also a zero waste facility, as close as we can get. So we focus on that. But so we have that. And I kind of, and the shares, the co-op produce shares that we offer each week was really the heart of what we wanted to do. Because for a lot of reasons, it really helps people to stick with a healthier way of eating. And it introduces them to new foods that they may not normally eat. And it also is kind of culminating the community, the local farmers, supporting the local foods, which, again, way more nutrient dense if it's something that's just been, 5 miles down the road just picked.
Definitely.
Than 2 weeks ago picked.
Talk a little bit about that, because I don't think some people might find it, if they go to your website and see what the shares are, it might be kind of hard to follow. So what it sounds like is there's a membership program at your store, and then based on what comes into that week, we get to pick what vegetables or what items that we want to get. Is that close or what?
So it's close. It's close. So basically, we put together a predetermined box of fruits and veggies for you. And we say this is what we're offering. Because first of all, I go to the farmers. I go to all our local people, and I was, okay, what do you have? What's in season? What's available? Oh, you have way too much lettuce. Let's put lettuce in there. And then we put together a good mix. So you've got greens, you've got bulk hearty veggies, you've got some flavoring and some fruits. And then from there, people are allowed to substitute, up to 3 things. Like, okay, if someone's eating high raw vegan, they're not eating those potatoes. They're going to substitute those out, and they're going to get more carrots or whatever the preference is. And then we just reserve for them for the week. Okay, here's your small vegetable share without any potatoes, but you're getting extra carrots instead. And then they come and pick it up Friday or Saturday when it's available. We have like a small vegetable share, large vegetable share, fruit only share, and we mix it so that it is for the kind of the masses of how most people in their median average, I eat healthy, what they define it as, those foods. Right. And then from that, the people will substitute. So yeah, we have some potatoes in there, and the people eating raw are like, that's not for me. Great, that's why we have substitutions. People who are just starting out on something healthy are like, I need those potatoes because it's better than McDonald's.
Definitely.
Great, that's why we're there. So that's the reason we have it mixed like that. So we have those shares that people can. We offer them every week. You don't have to get a membership so that they have access to that whenever they want it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very flexible. We have people who are, I'm taking off for 3 months and, gonna do my thing and travel the world. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm having this party and I need 5 large shares and 3 fruit shares. So however that looks to them, it's flexible. Okay. But we offer it every week, and that really, really focuses on, we give people recipes of what they can make with all the things. And we keep all of our recipes vegan and gluten-free as well, corn-free, soy-free. We're very intentional about, we're going to focus on the foods that are most nutrient dense. People know what to do with meat if that's where they are on their health journey and their food journey. People know what to do with those things. Gluten, if that's what they're eating and it works for their body at that moment, and that, great. What we do there, the philosophy is very different. So we have a very open, judgment-free space that we hold for people when they come in, wherever they are on their food journey, their health journey, wherever they are. We have some way to support them along the way. Here's your beginning step. We're not going to judge you. We're here to offer support and ideas. And how fast do you want to go? We'll help you. You want to go slow? Okay. And so we don't get offended when people are over there going, okay, so I'm eating keto and that's meat with every meal and I need my dairy and my cheese. And we go, okay, how can we help you? We have all these organic vegetables, and we have we do in the co-op part, the cooperative, the grocery part, we have local meats, and it surprises everybody. They're like, you have a vegan cafe. I don't understand that. And they freak out. And we go, so here's the thing. People need to start wherever they are. And if that's where they are, and gets them into whole food eating so that their bodies can then start communicating with them, like I was talking about earlier, saying, hey, eat this, then we introduce these things to them. This is what they need without the shame, the guilt, the weird stigma that can happen. It's just the labels. We take that out and we offer support. We offer recipes. We offer, well, where are you? Cool. Where do you want to be? How can we help you? We do all agree on whole food eating. As close to nature as possible. That's the one place we point back to.
So your definition of whole food, does that does include meat? It sounds like it's not just excluding meat and only veggies and fruits.
So right, the way that we define it is whole food eating, food in its natural state, as close to so no chemicals, no fertilizers, no GMOs. Not processed. We're, as close to nature as we can get it. How everyone defines that is on them and in their place. And this speaks to where they are on that journey. And so, so many people get so frustrated with how can you like sit and have conversations with all these meat eaters and you're over here eating vegan? Well, we are all allowed to take our own journeys and allowed our own experiences with whatever that looks like and how it feels with our body. And when we take away the labels and the shame and the guilt and the, you should and shouldn't, then people feel they're allowed to feel vulnerable and try new things. That's when they're like, I'll try these more vegetables. Let's see what that's like. What do you mean by raw enchiladas? I'm very confused.
You got me.
Our pulled pork is made from jackfruit, and they just go, what is that? It's not pork. No, it's not. Are you sure? Because it tastes like it. It does. But it's a way to get people to understand, go outside your comfort zone, try something new. How do you feel when that's in you? How is that sitting with you? And people come back, I felt really good. I had energy. I didn't feel heavy and bloated. And, so allowing that space where people are allowed to come in where they are, eat how they are, and be supported and completely judgment free so that they are exactly how they need to be, then they feel like I can try new things and dive in to something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience. Like everybody in there are all on their own journey, and everybody gets along in there. And the house is so cute. It's just a little house that they, I guess, gutted out, and they have everything's in jars. It's like a real homey feel. And Lisa and all of her employees are just real friendly. They have like the Chick-fil-A kind of feel to it, where everybody just enjoys working there, and they're there for a long time. I know most of them. Yeah, I think you've had some new employees. Your daughter works there.
Yeah,
and,
we have long-termers.
Yeah.
We do, because it's a different place to work. It's not just a job. Most everybody who works there could go out and get just a job and make XYZ amount of money and put some dollar signs there and go follow that path. But most of the people who work there feel like, I work here because I feel good about what I'm bringing in my community. I'm a part of something bigger than myself. I get to watch people as they just metamorphosize into their, new healthy ways. And it is an amazing thing to be a part of. And that's why people work there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is very different. So we're cooperative style. Little different than most basic co-ops. The true definition of a co-op by the state of Texas is that it is, member driven and board directed. And so member voted means the members vote the board of directors. The board of directors decides what we're doing and what the path is going to be like. So the way we do it, because I spent years exploring this, and I interviewed like the oldest co-ops all over the East Coast, West Coast, what made them successful, who failed and why. Those who failed would have the board, they'd have a family or a person put all their blood, sweat, and tears, spend 10 years building it up, all their money, all their energy, getting all the farmers, gathering the community. Here's the mission. And then someone new would come and oust them. A new board would come, and then they'd change it. And literally you could mark it on the calendar within 1 to 2 years, they would fail and close their doors because the mission changed and it went completely awry, and it just changed everything. So I looked at that and went, that is really not sustainable. So I looked at it as the board of directors are all the volunteers, the staff, the employees. Those are the board of directors. We meet once a month and we all decide policy, procedure. What are we putting on the menu, even in the cafe? What are we deciding? What works, what doesn't? And it's because those are all the people with the eyes and the ears out there listening to our community. What does our community want? What are they saying? We ask them all the time. They have input. And then we all decide cooperatively, this is the direction we're going. So it's a little bit different knowing that, being a part of that, you are a part of something bigger and you get to drive it.
Right.
Yeah. That's the difference.
I like they're so close to the farm too. Is like when they have special bowls like smoothie bowls and smoothies, and sometimes you can't get blueberries because they're not in season. Right. Or like, hey, they're ripening up. You want to go and throw some, I don't know, cantaloupe or watermelon or mango or whatever. So like you're that close to the farm where you're having to manipulate your food because of what's in season.
It is, yeah. So that means sometimes the recipes change a little on the menu because it has to. Yeah, seasonally. Yeah,
and they're very creative. So they're like a raw center where they have like a bunch of raw menu items, but they have cooked vegan items, the smoothies, and way more. But how do you get so creative? So she was saying like you cook it to a certain level where there's a threshold where the enzymes start to break down. So you dehydrate some of this food.
Right.
That's what you can get away with. But how do you make these enchiladas? Like, I don't think people know how you can make enchiladas raw.
Yeah, so we start with the wrap, right? What's your tortilla? What are you using to wrap it in? And we take literally tomatoes and chia seed because they can have like a gluey consistency. And we add a little zucchini in there. And then we puree it. And then we make it into like a sheet and dehydrate it. That's our wrap when it's done. And when it comes out, it's a perfect little tortilla. Wow. There's no grains in there. It's all food from the earth and it's all raw. And then, of course, our meat, we'll put some nuts and seeds in there, put it together with the right flavorings and seasonings. And it looks and tastes like a taco meat or beef, but it's not. And then for the other part that's in there, we always have to put those vegetables in there. So we've got some greens and some zucchini and carrots that we'll kind of chop up and put it in there, wrap it. And then our sour cream is made out of cashews and just flavoring, lemon, garlic. Yeah.
It's surprising. And what is the bacon? There's a bacon on a burger. What is the bacon made out of?
So it's usually either eggplant or zucchini that we thinly slice and then we marinate it in all the flavors, bacon-like flavors. And then we dehydrate it.
Wow. Yeah. Where did you learn all this at? How did you learn like the specific temperatures and all that? Like, where did you get that from?
So I spent years after having my kiddos 20 whatever years ago, where my body was off and not doing well, not balanced, and autoimmune diseases were coming up, right? And I realized I really need to make some changes in my own diet. And being the sugar hound, because growing up with a meat base, and then that's where the starchy, carby, here we go. It's just the whole teeter-totter that is very natural. I realized I got to get off of that. And the easiest way to do it was with raw desserts. So I started there and went, oh, wow, this is where my body thrives. And I began reading every book I could and everything I could get my hands on, Gabriel Cousens, David Avocado Wolf, way back, right? And then I realized, you know what, I'm going to get certified. So when I did that, like 12, 13, 14 years ago, there wasn't really a place where we live where I could go to take a good class from these people. And, I didn't have time in my life where I still had kids and, where I could just leave and go for a month and learn. So I did an online course and then I just poured every day reading. What can I get? Just like a sponge, learning as much as I could and really understanding the concept of why, how, that was most important to me. I love the science, the geeky, nerdy part of me.
That's awesome.
It's in there. So that's kind of where that came from. And then the more I played with it, the more I went, holy cow, I feel amazing when I eat this way. What is this? I need more. Yeah.
We didn't talk about the desserts. These will knock you on your ass. But the desserts are like the staple because like she makes these little cheesecake things and brownies. What else? I mean,
Yeah,
just
we've got fudge right now. That's amazing, and it's just date based. That's our sugar. So
Dates, yeah.
You remember dates, huh?
Which you just it's amazing what you can make. You just don't think about it. So what I always tell people when I'm guiding them, when I'm doing consults with people, and they go, okay, well, how do I do more raw? I don't even know where to start. That's complicated. Uncomplicated. Go Google raw vegan donut, and you will see all these recipes come up. And you'll go, what? I can do that with a peach? Yeah.
So you said you were certified. What are you certified in?
So I'm a certified raw food chef, health coach, and then raw food nutritional consults. So that's where
You're making so what is it like whenever, I guess talk about, if you want to, about your autoimmune. Yeah. Sorry.
my own journey. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you go about diagnosing that, and what did you eat or provide your body to get over that?
So it was really interesting. After having pregnancy is what really started it, and I didn't realize that can be a thing. And I began realizing I was having a lot of health issues, and they were all seemingly unrelated but bizarre. And I mean, to the point I was in the hospital frequently. It was horrible. And I spent 8 years going to doctors and having tests done, and I finally went, you guys don't know much, do you? I think I know more than you at this point. It's my body, and you're not listening.
What were some of the symptoms?
So it was a lot of digestion problems I didn't understand. I would have blood in the urine. We're talking like kidney stones and just some strange things that I was like, I'm tired all the time. I would have joint pain, and I couldn't understand, where I literally felt like I was in my early 30s, and I felt like I was 80 with arthritis and couldn't go up and down the stairs. This isn't right. I'm healthy. I exercise. I don't understand. So I researched it on my own, and I realized I had celiac disease, but none of the doctors could diagnose it. All of the specialists, I'm the one who went, these are all the markers. I'm pretty sure this is it. And by the time I found an internal medicine doctor, and I said, run these tests for me. And he kind of, he argued with me. He's like, why? These are really obscure. Why do you need your phosphorus? How do you even know what to, and I said,
where did you get this robe?
Just do it. Yeah. He goes, why? And I said, please, you work for me. I'm here. I'm paying your bill. Please just run these. I'm suspecting this. He did. Came back. He himself called me on the phone to give me the results, and he said, you were right, and holy cow. Every single one of these bizarre tests, your D levels, your phosphorus, they're all off exactly like you said. How did you do that? You have celiac, and it's pretty bad. I'm like, yeah, I figured that. Thanks for your help. I'm done. I'm going to do this on my own now.
Wow.
What was your diet like while you were going through that? Just the standard American diet, or were you drinking Cokes and tea and all that stuff?
I'm not a big soda pop person, thank God. But so what my mom taught me, right? Well, let's see, you got to have meat as your main course, and then you have to have some sort of grain, and then you got to add a vegetable in there, open your canned green beans.
Yeah.
So I would be like, I'll do fresh, and I really prefer to have more vegetables in there. And, and so I was trying to get my kiddos, they were having problems too. And I'm like, maybe if we eat more of these vegetables and more raw, maybe if I get really creative. And I started trying to do what I thought was healthy. We're doing whole grains, whole wheat. And then I felt worse, but I didn't know. I'm making my own bread, and I'm doing my own. Why is this making me sicker? I don't understand. Until I decided to attack the sugar bug and go with raw desserts. And I went, whoa, but that makes me feel better. And the raw food and the raw tacos and the raw what? So that's kind of how I pulled myself out of it and started doing more of that. Of course, at that point, my kids were old enough to go, we kind of like the other way we were eating. So it was a struggle, as it is with kids. And I would have to hide things in food and be like, you want spaghetti? Sure. They had no idea I was throwing turnips and eggplant in there. They just had no idea. But if you want potatoes, sure. Kohlrabi, let's mix it in. And they don't know.
Yeah.
Call it Italian potatoes with garlic, So that kind of helped transition. And then I found I'm cooking like 2 or 3 things for family at a time, because here's my uncooked meal and here's their whatever they choose. Sure, you go, And that's kind of what it looked like. And that's how it all kind of went. It really should never take someone 8 years to get a diagnosis of something that now we see as more common. But back then it wasn't as common to test. And really the doctors failed and missed a lot of things that full on when I went back and asked for my blood work, it was right there. Yep. So that helped me to understand we are our own advocate, our best advocate for our bodies and our health. We know our bodies, and we are not all perfect cookie cutter people. Our bodies are not cookie cutters. And what one person is great for one person is not so great for another, like beets. What's just amazing for, one person, beets, that's great. They're getting the iron they need, is the opposite for someone else who maybe for whatever reason they have a lot of metal toxicity and they can't do the iron. So they can't do the beets. So it's like that. But we don't always have to know all those details about our bodies and what the foods do. If we just eat whole foods and clean, then your body tells you, why in the world am I craving beets? I hate beets. What the heck is this? Eat the beet. Oh, wow, I didn't know I needed iron. Oh, so what else has iron? Spinach, and just go through the list, right?
Right.
Did you find that you had like trigger foods that, like, I guess when you're transitioning, going to raw, I'm sure that you ate foods that weren't raw every once in a while.
Yeah.
Were there trigger foods that kind of set it off for your celiac disease, right?
Well, yeah. So for sure gluten, but also what that does is when you have one autoimmune disorder, it sets the body up for many more. And so at that point, I didn't realize other things were starting to go off. And so, now I'm healing myself from celiac disease, Hashimoto's, thyroid, some other hormone things that are a bit off. I didn't know that, but that creates food allergens. It's just what it does in the body until you can bring it back into some sort of balance. I spent 8 years eating foods that my body was trying to tell me not to, and I did a lot of damage in my gut. So trying to then fix it. I just chose to avoid a lot of those things that I was finding, now there's this food I can't eat. I couldn't eat almonds, walnuts, pecans for years. I was very allergic. Then after about 2 or 3 years of eating that way, one day someone gave me one and I went, oh look at that, no reaction. Oh, hey, I did clear it. Cool. Because I also intentionally spoke it out every time. I would say, I'm clearing my body from this right now, so I'm choosing to steer clear of that. I'm going to eat this instead. And I just put it out there. I would say, I'm healing my body from celiac disease, and people go, you can't do that. Shh, don't tell my body that, because we're doing a great job healing. And then I realized it was happening. Right. And all of a sudden, these foods that were on my no list, I started adding them back in. I can eat that. Wow.
Right.
I know a lot of, when I was in this realm, because I was raw for a long while, and now I'm back to vegan, but I really want to go back raw. I felt amazing. Like when you go vegan, you feel good if you don't get stuck in the processed foods. Yeah. But then when you go to raw, it's like, man, a spring of energy. I can't even explain it. But like I said, it's a very antisocial diet that you can't go out and just go, you find yourself stuck at Chili's, not be able to eat anything. Salad.
No dressing.
Yeah. Basically, don't touch it. Just bring me the head of lettuce that's not organic. Yeah. But it's pretty hard. But I see a lot of people that kind of migrate to this lifestyle are people, like you said, autoimmune disease, MS is a big one. And people do kind of bounce back from those diseases that doctors don't really have a cure for, or they don't have a lot of direction for. So
right. And that is really, so that's why I teach people to that intuitive diet I was talking about. Clean it up, listen to your body. It will guide you, because sometimes things change. We go through seasons in our life, and maybe something's going off and it's not balanced. Maybe it's pure autoimmune disease. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's another illness. Maybe you just have a virus, something you don't know what's going on, but your body can guide you. And it can change as you go through seasons of life. So can your health and your food. It can change. So maybe you change your job and what you're doing, and instead of like an active lifestyle, you're more sedentary, and what your body needs there is very different than what the athlete needs going and running all those marathons is very different. Also, emotionally, what we go through in our lives, we're going through a period of grief. Now it's a period of anxiety, stress, whatever that is, can also affect the foods that you need or don't need as much of. So if you listen to your body, for some reason, I'm just really craving all the, pomegranate and hibiscus. What is all this? I don't even know. So, wow, stress, blood pressure is raising through the roof. Didn't know this would help me bring it back down. You don't have to know what does what if you listen to your body. And that's what I like about the co-op shares, the vegetable shares, because it introduces you to foods you may not normally go out and buy for yourself or play with the, radishes or whatever it is, but you know how to cook them or eat them or prepare them. And then someday when your body says, I'm really craving radishes, and you're like, why? I hate radishes. But I'm going to eat them. And then later you go, wow, I didn't realize I was getting a UTI and a kidney infection, and that detoxed it right out. So if we listen, our bodies can tell us. Right. But also opening up your realm of what you've explored with for natural foods, then you've got more to work with.
Yeah. I had this strange moment at work when I was doing raw, and I was basically doing more fruit, and I chopped up some chives, and I just put it in lemon, and I just like mixed it, and I for some reason I just wanted to take a shot and just keep. It was so. Yeah, it's so strong, but like for some reason I wanted to do that, and I just kept going. I kept chopping up the chives. I just had a lot of raw vegetables available somehow at work, but it is weird once you start clearing your system, it starts to crave, I guess, salt or like sour, or and then you get that from the whole foods rather than the alternatives. That's it. I like at your shop too that you have a lot of organics. Right. We're
about 95% organic of what we have. Yeah. Everything on the menu, 95% organic, and we're 100% GMO free. So if you're not looking for this stuff, like if you're going to H-E-B and Kroger, they're getting a lot better. But to find organic nuts or a lot of the vegetables. All the vegetables, produce are 100% organic, all of it.
But at H-E-B and Kroger, it's kind of hard to find that, and especially fruits, because when I was doing all fruits, to find an organic watermelon is impossible. Yeah. So then you resort to this thing called the Clean 15 and what is the other one?
Dirty Dozen.
So the fruits that are kind of have a shell, like a watermelon or orange, are supposed to be better because then pesticides can't really penetrate. Right. Like berries and grapes and things would be like the Dirty Dozen, where you don't want to get that if you have a choice. So it's really cool you cater to that. I like that about the shop.
It is like that, and that's also why we teach an array of things. So people who are just beginning, where do I start? Start with the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. What does that mean? Oh, this is so exciting. We love watching newbies come into this world of what? New things. We love it. We don't care if they come in and go, I work at McDonald's and I eat there 7 days a week, but also I need to make some changes. Cool. Want to try this new sour cream I made? It has no dairy in it. No. We love watching people transform and go, what do you mean Dirty Dozen? And then we educate them, and their eyes just light up and they go, wow, I had no idea. And then they're on this new path and I tried this new thing. It's great to watch people evolve that.
When people come to you asking for help, is it to do with weight, or is it to do with kind everything. It's weight's mostly the thing?
No, we see everything from A to Z. But honestly, it's mostly with health. There is a health issue. So many autoimmune diseases and illnesses are popping up now because of our toxic foods that we're eating and the things that the FDA has approved it must be safe and good for me. Or the labeling, greenwashing labeling, it's all natural, So because of that, it's caused so many, I have joint pains, my heart's off, something's not right, my hair's falling out. It's usually that.
Yeah.
We're seeing more of it.
Has everything to do with diet. I like what you do with the shares. You throw the extra things that people normally wouldn't buy. Yeah. Because it's so easy now to go to McDonald's or go to Whataburger and grab something, but you're intentionally putting something different in there for people to try.
Yeah. And then we'll give them recipes, what they can do with it.
I like that too. Yeah. That goes a long way, putting the recipes. Because I know that no one knows how to cook certain things. I didn't like spaghetti squash. I'm like, what do you do? Yeah. Or cutting a jackfruit. Yeah. That you need to go. Know how to you need to go on YouTube for a while. People don't even know what that is when they see it. It looks like a dinosaur egg. So you really don't know.
That is very true, and that's why we do it, and we hold their hand, and now we have YouTube channel where I've been trying to do videos, little clips of don't be afraid of the black radish. Want to know what it does for you? And then all of a sudden people are like, do you have black radish? I don't know if I like it, but I need it. Great, we just fermented some. What do you mean? Is that raw? Yeah. Taste it. Now it's even better for thyroid, detoxing your liver. And yeah.
That's awesome.
When you tell people what it does for them, they're more inclined to go, I need that. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's good.
So what's the biggest win that you have? What's like a personal story from one of your clients that you could share?
I have many.
No.
That's good.
But you know what? I'll share a story from somebody because this has to do with the philosophy that I keep talking about of why we remain open. We had a woman come in one time and she was with a friend, and you could tell that her friend was going through chemotherapy and, no hair and had a bandana on and was pretty, but she was in a very, stance to herself. And this other woman was like, hey, my friend is, going through cancer treatment. Is there anything you can do? Because she's very nauseous going through the chemotherapy. Quietly whispering this in the health food store. And I was like, oh, sure. Yeah. Here, let's take a look at, and I'm an herbalist. So I was like, let's talk about what are you doing tamoxifen? You can't do vitamin C with that. Let's steer over here to, ginger. And how about this? And I was having more conversation with her, and they were there maybe an hour. And then I start having more conversation and telling her about a book that I knew about. Hey, have you read this book and tried this? Because it's about a cancer surgeon who wanted to know why some of his patients make it and some don't. And they have the same exact background and same why. And then found out that it's those who take charge of their own health and go in and say, this is what I want. They make it. And doctor, you may or may not be on my team. I'll let you know what's your approach. Those are the ones that like, woo, success. And the others are like, doctor said 6 months. You can put it on the calendar, 6 months, So I recommended this, and I'm having conversation with her about taking control of your own health and you deciding your path and being open to whatever that is, and just ignore other people. It's your life, your choice. Because I could tell I just knew there was something there. Then she just broke down crying, and she said, I have to tell you, I've been that hippie granola lady for my whole life. I'm in my 50s now. And when I got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and they told me that, I'm just a month away from stage 4 and that's it, I chose to do chemotherapy, and then I'm going to do natural foods for the rest of it. But every one of my friends from all over the U.S., and I have worked in over a dozen different health food stores all over the U.S., they all shunned her, shamed her, told her, you're putting poison in your body. Why would you do that? They got so hard on her. She felt like she couldn't walk into any health food store at all without them shaming her. Wow. She said that was the first time she had walked into a place, and we wholeheartedly opened up to what her choice of healing was for that moment, for whatever reason, and then added what she wanted to hear. Ginger, let's do these foods, stay away from that, because that's what she was looking for, the blend, because that's what she chose. And she just said, I can't tell you how much that helps me feel like I can heal now, because I'm not being judged by my whole lifestyle beforehand and what that told me. So it's those stigmas, right? So sometimes it's moments like that. We have other moments of people that, sure, we have a guy that came to me for pain relief. He was on so many heavy pain relievers, morphine, Oxycontin, you name it, because he had a condition where part of his brain did not fit in his skull. It was very, very painful. Wow. And so he had to be on these. This is something he was born with, but he really wanted to get off of them. And I worked with herbs, and I worked with him on diet, and it wasn't quite working. Try tweaking it more and take this out, add that. And after 3 or 4 months, he came to me and said, I'm off all of it. My doctor can't believe it. Wow. This is supposed to be one of the most painful conditions that you can have. And I'm not using any of the morphine or any of the, and the doctor wants to know how I did it. Well, you just followed what you. So we have stories like that just every day, almost. And I think that's partly why our staff loves to work there so much, because they get to see that they're a part of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm sure with COVID coming around and you having a great background in vitamins, what's the COVID treatment or COVID prevention plan that you put people on. I'm sure that's a big topic in your shop.
Yeah, it is. And it's evolved just as we've all evolved through this whole pandemic, right? We sell viral wellness kits that we've put together. I've worked with my herbalists, and we all sat down and went in the beginning here, studied it until we just couldn't study anymore. Mainly working on a vitamin C approach, vitamin D approach, zinc, making sure we have certain constituents in there, quercetin, just some things that really, really help. As well as even medicinal mushrooms like cordyceps and reishi and chaga, specifically cordyceps for the lungs. Kind of put it all together, and we literally have a package, but we teach people if they will go for, like cinchona bark has a constituent in there that really works with zinc and works with vitamin C to help your immune system do its job, whatever state your immune system is in. Even if it's autoimmune, you can still handle it. And so we kind of teach people, use this in this way safely. Here's how. But in general, it's about cleaning up your diet and making sure that you're giving your body the most the strong rock to stand on to go fight when and if something happens.
Definitely. The information's not readily available for people. You have to almost go digging for it to see what's out there. Like vitamin D. Yeah. We didn't realize that vitamin D played such a huge factor in fending off some of this stuff.
Exactly. Well, and all viruses, you just don't understand. And the thing is, a lot of our bodies are deficient in vitamin D because we don't get in the sunshine as much, which is where that really comes from. And a lot of people, even if they're eating foods with vitamin D in it, and they're eating the eggs and the whatever they're choosing, if they're not eating it really, really, really clean, they're just not getting enough of it. And all the toxins that are with it and the pesticides and the herbicides just block it. Yeah. Eat it all you want, but your body's not taking it or absorbing it. And so that's why it's important to know and be intentional about what you're doing. Yeah.
It's so much easier to get a pill or go to the doctor and prescribe a pill rather than taking action and changing the diet.
Yeah. Lifestyle habits.
It's not very popular to go do. I know when I eat clean personally, like Mike said, we're vibing on another level. We're not getting drawn down from sugar or anything like that. But it's hard to make that change.
It really is because it's a lifestyle change. It's a habit change, and we like our lifestyle of quick, easy, pop open a can, drink it, open a package, eat it, because it's so fast paced. But is it really serving you? Because think about the whole lifestyle, fast paced, go. Are we really stopping, being mindful, being conscious? Have we missed something? Now we're missing connection with people, connection with our food, connection with our body, connection with our community. So that's the idea. You shift when we talk about food. And also food is very emotional. Mm-hmm. When you talk about making changes with your food, people freak out. They get angry. They go through the 5 stages of grief. If you say cut out gluten and dairy, they go, and they go through the whole 5 stages. But, food is your childhood, baking bread with mom, and it's your culture. But I grew up, this is what we eat, this is how we do it. You're telling me this is all wrong and bad for me. Food is our comfort. It's all the things emotionally for us that we just don't think about. And when you go to make changes, people go and they feel very vulnerable. And they're scared. But when you can take them by the hand, allow them a space to feel vulnerable but supported gently, they're more apt to make those changes long term, because they realize they can. And then it's okay to go, here was the way your cultural made it. Your culture, your grandma, now make your own version of it. What does bread look like raw? What? With no grains, you can do that? Go explore it, Yeah.
It ends up being the fabric, like sewn into the fabric of who they are.
Exactly.
So as soon as you tell someone that's not them anymore, they're like, they're searching, who am I then? And then you get defensive, and then you do go through the stages of grief.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to let things go from your childhood. Different foods, they tie in just like music. If you hear a song, it takes you back to that time. That food does the same thing. They're markers that just...
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was literally baking bread with mom.
Yeah.
It was a thing. When I was little, I'm rolling dough and I'm learning. We had all these different recipes, and I was like the bread baker. The worst thing for me, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so for me going gluten, oh my God, I have to get rid of it. And now I'm like, gluten, what? I don't even miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people if I sit you in a consult and I see, hey, it's really going to, benefit your body if you steer clear of gluten and dairy, and they just stop me right there and go, but pizza, I love it. I'll give you 20 ways you can have pizza. So I'm all about building the yes list.
Yeah.
Build how you can do it. Let's not focus on the can't and deprivation. Let's focus on yes, because once you eat it in a healthier version, you go, hey, I'm thriving. Hey, I feel better. Actually, I'm enjoying it more.
Yeah, just a step every day. Like once you start building it, like you've done it a few times, and it's real easy. But we always talk about health as like to losing weight, which is a benefit, or feeling good, or not even the coin like, what is it? Mental clarity.
Yeah.
Not just mental clarity. Like when I was eating that way, it was much more than that. I loved more. I was selfless. Like it changes your brain, it rewires your brain if you do it enough.
Yeah.
If you don't just keep falling back to those old habits, it changes your mind. It is really powerful.
It does, which is interesting because you're loving more, being more mindful, more conscious. That's actually the basis of where we thrive as humans. We just forgot it because it got a little muddled as we've eaten the junk that weighs us down and that takes all the receptors in our brain and just makes it thick and murky. And now we can't connect and we're not getting what we need. And so we just go around like a little like zombies.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what I was going to say.
Kind of like zombies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and
exactly
if you start making like a healthy step of eating good, then you might also take a healthy step to maybe exercising a couple of times a week. Those things coupled, then you just start making all these good decisions. Maybe you're going to go to bed earlier rather than staying up late till 2:00 in the morning. Then you're going to get up earlier. Then you're going to make your bed. Like it just goes on and on and on.
So true.
So that's it. It snowballs, right?
Yeah.
So things can snowball in any direction. You choose which way the snowball is going to go. But you got to start somewhere. And usually this first step's harder, and the second, is this really working? Oh, especially when it comes to eating clean, and people go, okay, I'm going to detox, and then they go through a Hersheimer's reaction, and they feel worse at first, and then better. But making those choices help. What also helps is having some sort of support with that. A community, a connection, a place, people that will also cheer you on, so to speak, in the way that you want to go. So working out at a gym, find other people, find a partner, whatever step you want to take. It's the same thing with food. And that's why at the co-op, we try to not just build a place where you can, buy your things, have a nice day. It's community. Yeah. This is a space. There's tables, there's chairs. Let's chat. Let's talk about recipes. How's your day? How's your daughter? That is really what it's about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's like they're like that there.
Yeah.
A lot of your employees are very knowledgeable of this too. So it's very easy to get help. Like if you want to know more about raw or vegan, they just know. But on top of that, you do classes too, right? You do some consultations, individual, and you do like training for how to cook, how to prepare meals.
Right.
Can you go into that?
Yeah. So I do a lot of different type of classes. I'll do some with herbs, some with essential oils, some with natural health, some with full on food, some with specific diets, and I'll go through kind of an array. It's been different in the past year. Have not done as many classes just because of the pandemic and how people are feeling about that. But we were just talking about it's time to get back. Yeah. People are asking for it, wanting it, needing it, and we're getting back to that. So, I've done, I think the last class I really did before all this exploded was a vegan cooking class that you could go and, hands-on learn. And I had to do that in a couple of sessions. This isn't something you just learn overnight. But I've taught classes on, where do you start for raw? And, how do you make this change? I've done classes on, thyroid and hormone. How do we use food and nutrition and herbs to rebalance that? So I'll pick something. And that's why I just started doing some more YouTube things, trying to get things out there, little snippets of, let's focus on this one food. Let's focus on this one herb. Let's focus on on one meal. What do you do with black radish? What's that? Okay, here.
Going back to that one.
She likes the black
I
radish.
love it, by the way. Am I telling you? Eat your black radish.
I'm going to go pick some up. So what? All right. So I'm going to go pick some up. What do I do? What's the easiest thing that I could do with black radish?
Honestly, if you're going to eat it raw, I cut it kind of thin, and I dip it into things. So I like to make like a kale pesto. It's so good.
The pesto's good.
You can make a raw hummus out of zucchini. You can do, I mean, just eating it like that. I like it. Put it on your salad. Sure, a little bit goes a long way. For those who are cooking their food, if you cook it, it'll cut the bite. And so some people prefer that because they don't like that bite. Perfectly fine, and you can mix it in anything. So all the time my kids are eating things they have no idea. My kids are now 21, 22. They still don't know that I've put radish in there and it's just this chopped up thing that looks like potato.
Yeah, good job.
They don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. One of the things I love to do is ferment it though, because you get more out of it, more probiotics. And
What do you allow yourself any cheat days?
yeah, so see, I don't view it that way. I literally view it as I am going about in my way, in my life, and today my life looks like this, and this is how I'm eating, and I want to surround myself with foods I know will support me. If I'm not surrounded by that, it's going to look like what you would call a cheat day.
Yeah.
Sure, it might. And then the next day I go, wow. And that's my reminder of why I like to surround myself and have at the ready foods that support me. And then I thank my body for complaining and reminding me why I choose that, because it's a better way to keep it all in the positive with your body, because having a cheat day sounds like this in your self-talk. Oh, I'm going to pay for this later. I should not be eating this.
Yeah.
Golly.
It's going to happen. It is going to like heavy, right? This is what we do. But if we change that and we go, you know what, right now, I'm going to allow myself a moment. You don't have to clarify it or quantify it. You just say, I'm going to have a moment. I'm going to sit down and have this cake at this birthday. I'm going to eat every bit of this and I'm going to enjoy it. And you will be the person to enjoy that cake better than anyone in that room. I guarantee it. It's going to happen. But when you're on the other side of it, you're going, you know what? And if my body reminds me why I usually choose to steer clear of that, I'm going to say thank you and go, wow, you're communicating with me. This is the way it should be. I'm one with my body. And now my body can guide my next meal and what I'm going to choose instead next time. Thank you. So the whole process then changes from telling your brain, no, bad, shame, guilt, pay for it, to yes, it's okay to be human, have a moment, and then choose something different, more supportive next time. Awesome. We're working together. So you just rewire what you're telling yourself and your body in that whole process, having the same experience.
Most definitely.
It's amazing how you can rewire it too. I like that you said that, because that's totally, I think I kind of approve a cheat, because when you're on these foods, I'm going to use the word vibration. You're on like a high vibration, and sometimes you need some perspective. You need to know what bad is, because you're on a new level and you don't know if it's bad or good. You feel good, but you start losing sight if it's good or bad. So if you eat a cheat day
Right.
and then you feel like crap, and you're like, okay, now I know where I was, and it just sets you back, gets you your new, brings you back up to your new baseline.
Right, we can't have sunshine every day, because then we lose sight of what we also gain from the rain.
Yep.
Hey, that's perfect. Yeah, Lee, I need to write that down. I used to make cheat days, like my cheat meal was like not really a cheat meal whenever I did raw. So like in your instance, maybe the desserts, like they're still raw, but like it's not as good as eating vegetables. Like when I did fruit, nuts were like my cheat day. So like I got really in the weeds. I was like, man, I'm going to eat some cashews today.
Going off the deep end.
Because nuts and fruits don't really mix.
Yeah,
like
right.
they get you pretty, it's really bad. But that's how I looked at it for a while. And I convinced myself that that's what it was. And that's the rewiring you were talking about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what you tell yourself is huge. And we don't realize how the things we're actually telling ourselves until we stop and listen.
Yeah.
What am I telling myself? I'm having a bad day? Ooh, can I turn that around and say, I'm changing this day to a good day? It's the same thing with food and all the ideas that we have related to it.
Yeah. I'd be talking to myself, man. Like when I transitioned from vegan to raw, my mind spoke like specific things. Like I was like, all right, when I get off work, I'm gonna go get a Snickers bar from the gas station. I haven't eaten candy bar in forever.
Right.
Like I don't even like Snicker bars.
Right.
But like, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, why am I thinking about a Snicker bar? And I said it, and the mind was like, okay, Like, what about Werther's Originals? I'm like, Werther's Originals? I haven't had that in a long time too. Where are you getting this stuff from? And say, like, all right, cashews is fine. You have this, you really do have this conversation, this debate, this rationalization. It's like so strange when you get to that point. It's like, you really are, it's almost like meditation. The thoughts are rolling by and you tie emotion to it, or you take it serious, or you don't, and you let it go. Weird.
Yeah. And also that's your body communicating with you. You just may not know what it's saying. So maybe it's like, I'm craving I want the candy bar. What? Why am I? Like I was saying, craving the good things. It could be also craving the bad things are signaling something's off. And it could be a parasites wanting that sugar, something that you don't know you've gotten. And it can be totally, we can get parasites if you have raw food. Sure, absolutely. It's, you know what I mean? You can still have candida. Something can happen and the body's telling you. And if you go, why am I craving that stuff? That is your body going, hey, I need some help. Something's not right. You can ask yourself, okay, so what would the opposite of that be? Bitterness, sours. And those are all things that actually help get rid of the parasites and the candida. You don't have to know specifically what it is, but you can ask into it when you're really connecting more with your body and your mind and where am I? Oh, craving the sugar. Why? Yeah.
You'll get intimidated going into their herb section. It's like someone went out into the world and just picked everything that exists and they're in a jar, and then you're like, what is that? Like a science project. And like, you can't go in there alone. You have to bring Lisa or one of her employees, because you're like, I don't even know if is this edible? Can I eat it?
How do I eat it?
Can I make a tea? What do you do? But you do need to do that. I like y'all are starting to do live music too on days, like in the back, like it's a house. Yeah.
So once a month now we do open mic nights, and so you can go there. We've got different local talents that just show up and they choose whatever you'll just anything from A to Z goes. And there's some amazing talent, but some of them you're like, wow. That was a unique experience. But I love it because it's so eclectic. You know?
Good job.
Yeah.
You're like,
that. We do that on Saturdays for like 3 to 6. And we have people sign up. So it's intentional. And we do it outside. So the people feel more comfortable. We're outdoors and don't have to worry about being so close. And we separate chairs further apart so people are more comfortable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's always different too. Like she had open mic night, but one time I went and there was like the people that work there, and then people that go there, and then their house is right by a park, so a basketball court. So I would go play basketball, I'd come back, and they're in a really good spot. The neighborhood is like really cute. Like the houses are like older houses, but really well kept.
Right.
It's kind of in the town a little bit, but
it's a historic district. So which is nice, a little bit older, and
it's a very. I used to walk to there from my apartment, and it's just a really good scenic area. But one thing you had this artsy guy, like he had a big ball that he brought out, and he like rolled around on the ball with his feet. This ball is huge. It's like taller than you, so not that big.
It's ginormous.
I was waiting for it.
You don't just chop up, go right up on it. It's huge.
I never saw that, and he would do that, and he would juggle bowling pins.
Oh wow!
And I don't know where she found this guy, and he actually drove like a car like mine, like a very little car. I was like, where did you put this?
Oh, a little box.
Yeah,
little kid's car.
He made a rig to put this big ball on, and it's like
that's Noah, and he actually now made a tiny home out of a bus, and now he's got the big ball right on the bus, the front, and then he just travels around.
Oh, really?
That's his house, and that's what he does now.
That's like Mike. Mike wants to do that.
Yeah, so I got the Sprinter out there.
Yes,
he's got the creeper van out there. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw. I know. I like it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Come talk to
I see
Noah.
you.
We'll hook
I
you
see
up.
you.
I see what you're doing. I'll pick up what you're putting down.
Yeah. So that's what we like, is culminating those unique artsy people in a space, where people can come together and it's something different, unique, fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you were probably there during one of our Earth Day events, because that's usually when we get Noah to come out. Which Earth Day's coming up again?
Yeah, and the poi. They have the poi, like the lights and the hula hoops and just all the like Renaissance-esque stuff that I love.
It's fun. Every once in a while we'll pop that out there. Yep.
Yeah.
Lisa, we really enjoyed you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
So real quick, where can people, you have a website, you have Instagram too?
Yeah. So we're located in the historic districts of Leeds City, which is 219 North Michigan Avenue in Leeds City. But you can find us on Facebook, Natural Living, and Instagram is Shop Natural Living. And then, of course, we have a website, shopnaturalliving.com.
Okay.
And that's how you can kind of find us and connect with us and find out what we have going on.
Are y'all doing TikTok?
We haven't yet, but oh my God, my kids are just all over me for that. They're like, let's go. Okay.
Y'all should do it.
That's coming. It's coming.
Funny videos in the shop.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Oh, yeah. There's some creative and interesting moments that probably TikTok would. Yeah.
Well, Lisa, I greatly enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.